Are expected in about a month. Hart County claims the baby's Smith's, but Smith's attorney says the father is the girl's 13-year-old brother. Both Smith and Jensen remain in the Park County Jail under $25,000 bond each. A trial has been set for October 28th. Family members of two men killed in a fiery crash west of Bozeman last April that also killed 3 other people have sued the estate of one of the drivers. The suit was filed against the estate of James Wald. Wald had a blood alcohol content of .24, more than twice the legal limit. The widow and father of 2 people killed in that mishap are asking for unspecified damages. Wald, of Belgrade, was test driving a car when he crashed head-on into another vehicle. The Missoula Rural Fire Volunteers say they will not support a proposal to reorganize the department. The Volunteers Association says there are not enough volunteers to support the proposal, which would reduce the number of full-timers by almost half. They also say services would suffer. Some full-timers agree.
Our position is in 100% support of their philosophy, and we kind of mutually agreed on some of it. We know we are an integral team, us and the volunteers, the way we deliver services in the Missoula, in the outlying Missoula area. And we recognize that vividly, that one of us can't do the job without the other one, unless there's a significant change in the way those people are willing to pay for it. And I don't think they are. So in the present circumstances, we feel strongly that we need both of us here to do the job.
Well, I guess I'm a little bit disappointed in the position that the Volunteers Association took last night. However, I guess I can see where they come from in some respects. The basic issue that we're trying to deal with is we started this fiscal year with an anticipated shortfall of $120,000, and we need to resolve that so that we can provide efficient service to the community.
Sundram says Rural Fire is not a likely merger candidate because of the financial situation now. He says, though, that may happen in the future. University of Montana President George Dennison says the Missoula School will be as much as $2.5 million short to handle its record enrollment this fall. Dennison said today that the UM is expected to have almost 11,000 students total, or the equivalent of 9,200 full-time students. He says the UM is funded for only slightly fewer than 8,300 full-timers. The university could be stretched even thinner shortly, though. The Stevens administration wants to take away $21 million from the U system as part of a budget reduction. The regents and the governor will discuss that Friday. Dennison would not comment on that meeting. An attorney for Regional Forester John Muma says that Muma has not formally agreed to retire, despite news accounts of his being forced out of office. Attorney William Bransford says Muma has 60 days until his retirement becomes effective. Muma made his decision August 30th, but Bransford says he has now until November 1st to make it final or accept another job. Many environmentalists have been in an uproar since the announcement came more than 2 weeks ago, charging that Muma was forced from the top office by top Forest Service officials who were dissatisfied with the Northern Region's timber-cutting performance. Meantime, the man who's taking Muma's place for the time being broke his silence over the issue today, and while John Hughes did not say much about his predecessor, he did tell the NewsCenter Network's Jim Harmon that times are changing on the national forests.
A 28-year veteran of the Forest Service, John Hughes had served the past 3 as Deputy Regional Forester in Missoula until September 6th, when John Muma announced his resignation. That announcement, says Hughes, came as a surprise.
Yeah, I'd say it was surprising. It's very, very emotional. You know, I think that we'd like to get things settled. We'd like to get on with our job. But it's been an emotional time.
There has been a great deal of speculation that Muma was forced out for not meeting congressionally mandated timber-cutting quotas. Hughes says there is pressure, but it's pressure for the Forest Service to do all of its jobs, not just meeting timber quotas. The problem with the quotas, he says, is that they were the result of forest plans put together a decade ago, and they're too ambitious.
It's probably something that we should have expected. I think if anything was broken in our forest plan, it was the expectations that people had. People thought if we said that this was the ASQ, that all we had to do was finance it and deliver it. But the truth is we have to do that project on the ground. We've got to go through environmental analysis, and we've got to take care of the other resources, and we've got to get our output as close as we can to all our standards and guides.
The controversy over timber quotas, hopefully, says Hughes, will be a healthy controversy resulting in a good balance. But while he says he strongly supports public input into timber sales, he'd much prefer to see a system of upfront comment rather than 11th-hour appeals.
We have one of the oldest and probably the most liberal appeal system of any federal agency in the United States. And it's been intended to really be an appeal system that's aimed towards a win-win type thing. We can take people's concerns into account. We can end up with projects that we can implement on the ground. And I see it slowly turn into a win-lose type thing. You either win or lose.
But all the concentration on a single aspect of the Forest Service bothers Hughes. Repeatedly today, he made the point that the Forest Service is much more than the agency setting up timber sales. It is, he said, in charge of rangeland, water resources, wildlife, wilderness, mining, recreation, and more. Jim Harmon, NewsCenter Network, Missoula.
And when the night report continues, a new business for Missoula. And business is booming for the heavy metal music industry. Less than 24 hours after a new album hits the streets. We'll be back.
Belgrade is dressing up to pay tribute to the red, white, and blue. It's fall festival time. The Belgrade Chamber presents its Salute to America, September the 20th through the 21st. Brought to you by these businesses. Join in on the excitement of the parade, the barbecue, arts and crafts in the park, the Loggers Festival, stock car races, and the evening's entertainment. And don't miss the Belgrade High School's homecoming activities on Thursday and Friday. It's a Salute to America celebration at the Fall Festival in Belgrade.
The grand opening sales event of the year continues at Billion Chrysler Mazda. Save thousands of dollars on a special purchase of factory lease return vehicles. Save on 91 Dodge Spirits and Plymouth Acclaims, only $99.91 or $184 a month. Save on 91 Dodge Dynasties, only $10,991 or $199 a month. Plus, get Chrysler's 7-year, 70,000-mile limited warranty. Expect the best deals during the grand opening sales event of the year at Billion Chrysler Mazda.
Bad news, Pizza Hut pepperoni. Prepare to get picked on even more.
Why is everybody always picking on me?
Why? Because now you can get a Pepperoni Lovers Pizza at a very pickable price. Get one for just $8.99 or two for a paltry $4 more. With two prolific pilings of pepperoni packed between two heaping portions of cheese and a particularly low price, who can resist picking?
Why is everybody always picking on me?
You know why.
Making it great.
I don't have economic power and I don't have political power, but I have energy.
Meet the people who've made the Earth a better place to live on Earth Journal with Dr. Richard Leakey.
Premieres September 22nd on Channel 6, your news center.
One woman was injured today when she apparently fell asleep at the wheel on I-90 west of Missoula. The Highway Patrol says 23-year-old Trina Clifford of Oregon suffered a broken back when her truck veered off the freeway shortly before noon. Clifford apparently fell asleep and then overcorrected before crashing. The woman was flown to a Portland hospital for treatment. Federal money for 2 Gallatin Valley highway projects is a bit closer tonight. The U.S. Senate today passed a transportation bill that includes $750,000 for Bozeman's North 19th interchange at I-90. That's in addition to the $4.5 million appropriated by Congress last year. The measure also includes $1.5 million to replace Belgrade's Jackrabbit Lane overpass. The bill now heads to a House Senate Conference Committee where the details will be worked out. The president's nominee to become the head man at the CIA was taking a beating on Capitol Hill one more time today. Sandy Gilmore explains why.
Day 2, and Robert Gates repeatedly denied knowing about the Iran-Contra scheme until late in 1986, even though he was number 2 at the CIA.
I've acknowledged that I should have been more vigilant.
But Senator Howard Metzenbaum wasn't buying it.
Mr. Gates, that blows my mind.
Metzenbaum appeared incredulous.
Who didn't want to know time and time again.
Metzenbaum did not let up.
It was as if you said, I'm fading into the shadows. I don't want to hear another word about it. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil.
But Metzenbaum did not crack Gates' cool, almost stiff demeanor. He argued Iran-Contra wasn't so obvious back in 1986.
All these alarms and bells and whistles seem so apparent now 5 years in the away from those events.
Republicans on the Intelligence Committee have jumped in to help Gates, defending his integrity and his abilities as an intelligence analyst. He was wrong on Gorbachev. Republicans were not amused when Metzenbaum accused them of towing the line for President Bush.
And I resent being told that I am sitting here as a political pawn of anybody, because I am not, nor are my colleagues.
So far, Democrats have not produced an Iran-Contra smoking gun, and at worst, Gates appears guilty of not wanting to know more. But after a recess tomorrow, the committee will hear from former CIA officials, one of whom will testify that Gates knew more than he is currently letting on. Sandy Gilmore, NBC News, the Capitol.
The United Nations General Assembly opened its 46th session by welcoming 7 new members to the body. Among those joining today were the former Soviet republics of Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania. Also inducted today were North and South Korea, the Marshall Islands, and Micronesia. Elsewhere, doctors say regular exercise may do even more good than previously believed. A report in tomorrow's Journal of the National Cancer Institute says that exercise not only keeps the heart healthy, it may also protect against colon cancer. A study of men between the ages of 30 and 79 found that those who exercised regularly and vigorously had about half the risk of colon cancer as those who were not active. Some good business news for Missoula tonight. An electrical equipment company announced today that it is relocating to Missoula from Chehalis, Washington. Ross Electric rebuilds and recycles electrical transformers used by utility companies. Its director says all operations may eventually move to Missoula.
At this point, it's just an expansion to our business with the possibility of phasing out the Chehalis office. That being, in our company, everyone would like to make the move because everybody likes to get out of the rain. But it is an expansion at this point, looking ahead that we would certainly close the Chehalis office.
Ross Electric will build on a 10-acre site west of Missoula. 25 new jobs are expected to be created with that move. If you noticed that some music stores in western Montana were open a little later last night than normal, it was because of a new album by the hard rock band Guns N' Roses. It went on sale at midnight, and it's being predicted that this one chunk of music will bring the headbangers out of their homes with open wallets.
It's a minute past midnight at a record store in Manhattan's Greenwich Village. The store stayed open late, like 1,000 others across the country, to give the groupies of Guns N' Roses first crack at threatening the biggest album ever in terms of sales, Michael Jackson's Thriller. Of late, hard rock, acid rock, heavy metal, the stuff that screams obscenities and insults at you, has been on the wane, down overall some 10%. Many say too many copycat bands out there. But the same critics say Guns N' Roses is real, with a lead singer named Axl Rose, whose voice the New York Times calls a constant irritant, is legitimately abrasive. But the band is so hard and sometimes violent that it gives some other hard rock the consistency of pablum.
I think you're still going to be seeing a lot of pablum hard rock, for one thing, but it should prove to be one of the superstar releases of this year or next couple of years probably, and we'll just, as far as that goes, help give hard rock a good name as far as the retailers are concerned.
Like the treasures of Solomon's mines, the Guns N' Roses music was kept under lock and key until the release time at midnight. Once again, hard rock music with the glitter of gold. Guns N' Roses records for the Geffen label, marketing director Robert Smith.
We're expecting this record to sell several dozen million albums. Where or what the exact number is really, at this point, just almost impossible to predict.
What can one smash release mean for an ailing industry? Variety's Ken Zimmerman did some mental arithmetic and came up with statistics that scream as loud as the music.
Seems to be a pretty safe bet that the retail market, which was pretty soft this summer, is going to bounce back on this album's coattails pretty much.
The band got a jump start on a hit release when one of the singles, You Could Be Mine, was in the summer smash movie Terminator 2. With no promotion at all, it alone sold 800,000 copies.
And yes, it is in the record stores. We'll be back with the weather. Stay with us.
Coming up later on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, guest host Jay Leno gets a leg up on the fun.
Watch me get my other leg broken.
And music great Bonnie Raitt talks about her success with the Grammys.
Well, I tried putting them in the bedroom to see if it would make a difference.
Then on Late Night with David Letterman, Dave welcomes Anthony Perkins. It's Leno and Letterman later tonight.
She would do anything for her children,
I've worked long and hard trying to give Vita the things I never had.
even for the child who did not deserve her.
And he's going to divorce you and marry me.
But how far will she go to protect her daughter?
You're lying, Mrs. Berrigan. We know you weren't alone in the house with him.
Eve Arden and Joan Crawford in her Academy Award-winning performance, now more powerful than ever. In color, Mildred Pierce.
Sunday night at 10:30 on Channel 6, your news center.
This week on Siskel and Ebert, Robin Williams plays a street person with a magic touch in The Fisher King.
I love this guy! You hear me?
Also, Melanie Griffith and John Johnson play a couple struggling to overcome a family tragedy.
Can't make up my mind. Are you sick of me, or are you just dead inside?
Paradise.
Don't you love Ben anymore?
This week on Siskel and Ebert.
Friday night at 1:30 on Channel 6, your news center.
There are places still left that remind us of a time when the world moved a little slower, conversations took a little longer, and people had a knack for knowing when they were happy. It wasn't that folks had all the answers back then. They were just more patient about living the questions. Tuesdays this fall, I'll Fly Away.
What a wonderful world.
The quality shows on NBC.
A pleasant night in the region, but it should get a little bit cooler. Let's check the current conditions right now before we get into the forecast a little bit later. Kalispell, clear skies and 51 degrees. Only got up to 66 today in Kalispell. Overnight low is 42. In the Missoula area right now, 56 degrees, clear skies after a high of near 67. In Buttes right now, we have partly cloudy skies, 44 after a high today of only 53 degrees. And in Bozeman, not much difference, partly cloudy skies, 45 degrees in the Bozeman area after a high today of near 58. Let's take a look at the weather watchers. The weather watchers around the area are reporting pretty much the same thing. In the northwest and West Glacier, 54 partly cloudy skies and light winds. In Ronan, a little bit further to the south, 57 degrees, clear skies and only slight winds. In the west central part of the state near Arlee, currently 55 degrees, no precipitation today, the same in Darby. A little bit warmer up the Bitterroot Valley, still clear and no wind. And in the southwest portion of Montana, Anaconda, 43 degrees, clear and calm. And in Bozeman, as we mentioned, 41 degrees right now, partly cloudy skies, only a slight amount of precipitation. Let's take a look at what's been happening around the state all the way through this evening. As you can see, the temperature's a little bit cooler to the east. Now, the coolest temperatures occurred in the eastern Montana. They were accompanied by 15 to 30-mile-an-hour northerly winds. Precipitation was light this afternoon and limited to a few lingering showers. The 24-hour rainfall totals were more significant and include Red Lodge with 0.42 of an inch. And under clearing skies, most of Montana will experience some freezing later on this evening. First of all, let's take a look at the West Coast satellite. Those clouds are moving through and bringing a few partly cloudy skies to the southwest portion of the state, but generally the entire western United States is clear. And the radar map will give you a little bit better choice. As you can see, absolutely nothing that we will see right now. Now, if you're going to travel around the region, let's take a look at what you might be able to say. Salt Lake City is fair and 79. Now, Denver will be probably about the worst spot if you want to travel, cloudy and 55 degrees. But if you want to head west to the coast, it's going to be another beautiful day in Seattle and in Portland. A little bit closer to home to the north in the East Kootenai Valley, 18 degrees, Spokane fair. Salmon and Boise will be generally sunny. Let's take a look at your forecasts for the region. Kalispell tonight, it's going to freeze in Kalispell, no chance of rain. By Thursday, however, it will be up to 74 degrees, so it'll be relatively pleasant. In the Missoula area, not quite freezing tonight, no chance of precipitation all the way through. The same mark, 74 degrees on Thursday. And in the Butte area, 24 tonight. It will freeze solid in the Butte area. 66 for a high by Thursday, 58 tomorrow. And in Bozeman, the temperatures will get down a little bit cooler, 26 degrees. Again, no chance of precipitation. And look for a high on Thursday by then of 72 degrees. High, the extended forecast on into the weekend. Highs in the 70s and 80s Fridays and Saturday. And then Sunday, highs will only, Larry, get into the 50s. So it will be great sailing weather, at least for the first 2 days, and then wonderful football weather by Sunday.
Still have the boat in the water? Still doing some sailing?
Yeah, another 5 weeks or so.
Not bad. Yeah. Hopefully the weather will hold out for you. We're going to come back and talk about girls basketball. A smattering of games around the region tonight. Stay with us. Sports is next.
The way to not win in tennis is to think too much about your opponent. Because in tennis, you don't just play the opponent. You've got to play the ball. It's how you play the ball that determines whether your shot is in or out. Whether the point is won or lost. Play the ball better than your opponent, and you'll play winning tennis. Now, you can play the ball and win with this double offer from Tennis Magazine. You'll receive a free half-hour video by Tennis Magazine instruction editor Vic Braden, plus a full year, 12 issues of Tennis Magazine. Call this number now and change the way you play tennis. What a combination. The How to Play Winning Tennis with Vic Braden video, plus the magazine that brings more instruction to more tennis players than any other. Call 800-351-5300 for a full year of Tennis Magazine plus the free video. Just $13.77. Call 800-351-5300 now.
You've been assigned to me.
I don't want to be a special assignment.
Heaven just sent Jack Lemmon a test.
He'll be going out the back way today.
A boy he must make a priest.
Well, you look at this, the collection went down 30%. That's like a Nielsen rating.
All he needs now is an act of God.
Right.
But sometimes you get a miracle. Sometimes you win.
Let us begin.
Jack Lemmon, Charles Durning, Mass Appeal.
Saturday at midnight on Channel 6, your news center.
We start our girls basketball coverage with a crosstown battle in Butte. Butte Central taking on Butte High. The Bulldogs ranked 5th in Class AA, a heavy favorite, and the Dogs win at 52-30. Nice crowd on hand at the Civic Center. Second half action, Butte High needed to run the ball, and they did. Amy Shank to Danny Sikowski. She nails the jumper. She finished with 13 points. The Maroons, though, keep the game close. Molly Veland unloads from 14. It's good. Maroons down by just 8. Referee Rick Edwards doing some house cleaning at the Civic Center, but the Lady Bulldogs keep their distance. Amy Shank can't get her shot at the fall, but Cindy Sparks is there for the bucket. She led all scorers with 17, and Butte High goes on to beat crosstown rival Butte Central 52-30. Again, Butte High ranked 5th in the newest girls basketball poll, which came out tonight. We'll have a few words on that in just a couple of moments. In the Bitterroot Valley tonight, Stevensville hosts Missoula Loyola. The hometown Yellow Jackets win at 71-42. Yeah, the Yellow Jacket on hand to cheer everyone on. Early on, though, Loyola is looking good. Stacy Broad gets the bounce inside, and it is Loyola up by 2. Then off the inbounds play, Carolyn Daly hits Pam Weavers underneath. Her shot is blocked by Kari Thacker, but Weavers stays with it, puts it up. Loyola leads by 4. Loyola pressed most of the first half, but look at the textbook example of how to break the press. Kari Thacker hit. She had 29 points on the night. Amy Nichols had to lay. That was Amy Nichols with the layup there. Then Stevie starts to break the pressure. Thacker hits Tara Thompson this time, and it's Stevensville on top by 2. Mixed in with some free throws, Stevie starts to take over. This time Thacker with the long shot takes it herself and scores again. It was Kari Thacker with 29, and Stevensville goes on to beat Missoula Loyola 71-42. Also in girls basketball tonight, the Darby varsity team goes on the road to play the Missoula Big Sky junior varsity. Darby wins at 50-46. Late first half, Darby on offense. Wild scramble against the press, but he will finally get the ball to Christy Bush. She scores, and Darby leads it by 7, 25-18. Big Sky, though, comes right back. A good way to beat the press is with a good cross-court pass. Jen McDonald scores, and the Big Sky JV trying to hang in there, but again, the Darby varsity squad gets the win on the road tonight, beating the Missoula Big Sky junior varsity team by 4, 50-46. Also in high school girls basketball tonight, Hamilton playing at home beats its Bitterroot Valley rival Corvallis 59-47, and Drummond comes from behind to beat Deer Lodge 50-49. Good game in Deer Lodge tonight. The Lady Wardens were up by 8 in the fourth quarter, but Drummond comes back and then holds on for the win as Deer Lodge hit a three-pointer at the buzzer. By the way, the new high school girls basketball poll did come out tonight. Two regional teams are ranked number 1. Flathead is on top of the AA poll. Manhattan Christian is the number 1 team in Class C. Also ranked number 1 this week is Browning in Class A, ahead of number 2 Columbia Falls. Malta is the number 1 team in Class B. The new high school football poll is due out tomorrow. There is still the potential of a pennant race in the American League West. The White Sox and Twins still have 6 games left against each other. And tonight, second place Chicago pulls to within 7 games, while Minnesota was losing. The Chi Sox shut out Oakland 1-0. High drama tonight in Chicago. First of all, a pitcher's duel. Greg Hibbard making the A's look silly. He K's Jose Canseco. But Ron Darling doing the same to the Sox. He K's Carlton Fisk. But now for the drama. This game is scoreless into the 8th. Folks, who breaks up the scoreless pitchers duel? Yeah, Bo Jackson. His first home run since September 30th of last year.
He hammers this one way back. Oh, gone! Home run, Jackson! Yes!
And that was the only run of the game. White Sox over the A's. 1-0 the final. Let's check out all of the baseball scores. First of all, in the American League, Toronto is leading Seattle in the 4th. The Red Sox over the Orioles. Cleveland beats Detroit. Milwaukee shuts out the Yankees. As you said, the White Sox with the win over Oakland, while Minnesota lost to Kansas City. So the White Sox have pulled to within 7 games. California beats Texas. National League, the Expos and the Mets split a twin bill. The Phillies over the Cards. The Pirates beat the Cubs. Houston is shutting out San Diego in the 6th. The Dodgers are shutting out the Reds in the 5th. And San Francisco is on top of Atlanta, that one in the 4th. The Braves start the day with a slim half-game lead over the Dodgers. The Grizzly football team continues its stay in Louisiana. Montana is getting ready for Saturday's game against McNeese State. The Grizzlies will spend most of the week working out on the campus of Louisiana State University in Baton Rouge. Despite the 10-point loss to Louisiana Tech last week, it was a strong effort by starting quarterback Brad Lebo. He threw for more than 330 yards against the 1A Bulldogs.
Yeah, I think it helped a lot with the confidence. I still got to get a lot better than I was on Saturday night, but I think it helped my confidence. I think it helped our offensive confidence as a whole unit. I think maybe we're about ready to gel as an offense, and like I was telling the other guys, we're just anxious to play again. We want to get out there again real quick.
Well, he certainly improved a bunch from his first game to a second. We would expect him to improve a bunch from a second to his third. Brad is strong and physically proved that in the ball game. He made some decision mistakes, but not all of them were his fault. We're having some trouble with the receiver and quarterback interacting, but the big picture in the story is good.
The Grizzlies will practice in Baton Rouge through Thursday and then bus into Lake Charles, Louisiana, where McNeese State is located on Thursday night. Now, the Grizzlies will get some R&R tomorrow. After practicing tomorrow morning in Baton Rouge, the team will take the slightly over an hour bus ride into New Orleans. The players and coaches will get time to browse Bourbon Street tomorrow afternoon. We should mention that the Bobcats have a big game coming up this weekend against Idaho, and we'll be talking more about that as the week progresses.
Browsing is interesting on Bourbon Street, and you can get into a lot of trouble if you try.
They won't try.
Okay, thanks, Larry. We'll be back with more news. Stay with us.
On the next MASH.
Are you sure there's nothing going on between you two kids? Honest. Little hanky-panky after taps?
I'm happily married.
Oh, yeah?
BJ comforts a nurse whose marriage is failing.
Bad news from home?
It's a letter from my old man. Dear Jane.
Will it end up costing BJ his marriage?
Doc, you're looking at a guy that fell off the Fidelity wagon.
On MASH.
Weeknights at 6:30 on Channel 6, your news center.
Civil war threatens the Klingon Empire.
Your blood will taint the way to the future.
Worf vows to fight for his people at any cost.
I order you to return to duty at once.
Then I resign my commission as a Starfleet officer.
Will he sacrifice his career and leave the Enterprise forever?
Goodbye.
Lock on target. Fearless duty next time on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Illegitimate children who found their parents.
She seduced me.
But wished they hadn't.
He spent the majority of his life in prison for attempted murder.
Families torn apart.
I don't believe a word she's saying.
I'm sorry, but it's true.
Children cast aside when their parents reunited.
It was like she wasn't there. They were like two teenagers in love.
Illegitimate kids, heartbreaking reunions. Next, Geraldo.
Montana isn't the only place where logging has become controversial, and the coasts of Washington and Oregon are not the only forests where a bird is making things difficult for those folks who make their living in the woods. Scott Miller tonight has the story about a rare critter in Canada that has created problems similar to our own.
Much of the coast of Canada's Vancouver Island looks like this, logged right down to the water's edge. The few valleys left with virgin forest harbor Canada's tallest trees and an increasingly rare bird called the marbled murrelet. The murrelet feeds at sea, but nests high in these huge stands of spruce. This summer, researchers found just the second nest ever on the British Columbia coast, and it sits just a few hundred yards from the route of a proposed logging road.
Rather difficult to be doing research on a species when the habitat is being cut out from under its feet, quite literally.
In the United States, environmentalists can go to court to save threatened wildlife, and lawsuits have stopped logging on thousands of acres of federal land. But here in Canada, there is no Endangered Species Act, and some frustrated environmentalists have taken the law into their own hands.
You've realized at the present time you're impeding the loggers from going in?
For 2 months, protesters have been waging war in the woods, blocking logging roads and getting arrested. Sometimes activists dangle from trees, and the police need cranes to haul them in. Despite the protests, the government has allowed the logging to continue. Government researchers say Canada still has plenty of marbled murrelets.
It's likely not in imminent danger in the short run from logging.
With the discovery of this new murrelet nest, researchers will appeal to the Premier of British Columbia to stop the cutting. And more radical environmentalists will continue their campaign of civil disobedience beneath the towering trees of Vancouver Island. Scott Miller for NBC News, Victoria, British Columbia.
We'll be back to wrap things up in a moment. Don't go away.
If you see news happening, call the NewsCenter Network hotline at 1-800-553-5324.
Meet the class of 2001. They're getting a head start on the future with Buttrey's Apples for the Students program. With a little help from you, your kids can too. Just save your Buttrey receipts and give them to your child to take to school. When the school collects enough, they earn new Apple computers. So start saving for their future. With Apples for the Students from Buttrey, who knows how far your kids can go?
Old Oaks is quitting business. It's hard to believe, but it's true. Old Oaks and Bozeman is calling it quits. Their loss is your gain. They have lots to sell, and they want to sell it now. From 10 to 9, Monday through Friday, 10 to 6 on Saturday, and 12 to 5 on Sunday. Bring your truck, van, or trailer and save on sofas, love seats, recliners, bedding, living room and dining room sets, tables, lamps, accessories, and more. The Old Oaks quitting business sale at the Main Mall, 2825 West Main in Bozeman.
On the next Golden Girls.
Hi, Mom.
Dorothy's daughter is getting married.
Dennis, what do you take home a week? Mom!
But her father hasn't been invited.
Tell the dirtbag he can come.
Now it's a reception to be remembered.
Stan, do me a favor. Take off your hair and hold it up to Kate's chin.
But Sophia's holding back.
You know I can't cut loose with a priest around.
It's always a pleasure to get a drink for an attractive woman. I get one for you too, Dorothy.
A wedding with a few hitches on the next Golden Girls.
Thanks for joining us. Have a pleasant evening. We'll see you back here tomorrow afternoon at 5.